On today's episode of TQA Weekly, I talk about the process of logging in. This is TQA Weekly. I'm the host, Steve Smith, aka Z Axis. And if ever you have any technology questions, comments, suggestions on our stories, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my website and use the contact form at the website, tqaweekly.com, or use the comments box on this page if you are watching on a website. But before I get into anything else, this episode of TQA Weekly is brought to you by ProXPN. ProXPN is a virtual private network that allows you to use the internet the way it was meant to be, anonymously and without oversight. For 20% off your new account, go to proxpn.com/podcast and use the coupon code, all in caps, TQAWEE. Now more than ever, your online freedom and privacy are under threat. Governments and ISPs want to control what you can or cannot see while keeping a record of everything you do. Plus, that free Wi-Fi at the coffee house or airport terminal is putting you seriously at risk because your passwords and sensitive data are being intercepted and transmitted in the clear. This is more dangerous than you may have ever thought possible. In fact, with all of the computers and other networks I've had to take care of because of all this open Wi-Fi, unencrypted Wi-Fi, people not knowing how to protect themselves, I've had to remove viruses from a whole bunch of different computers and help others recover lost accounts lost in this way. ProXPN is a global VPN, virtual private network that works with almost any internet connection. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel through which all your online data passes back and forth. No more stealing of accounts in the clear in a public free Wi-Fi situation. Any online application works with ProXPN, including your web browser, email, file sharing, and instant messaging programs. ProXPN keeps everything you do online hidden from prying eyes, disguising your physical location and giving you unfeathered access to any website or online service no matter where you live or travel to. Complete online privacy with a 2048-bit encryption key and 512 encryption tunnel. Works with OpenVPN, lots of you keep asking me about that, and PPTP, which means you can even use it with your cell phone. You get to choose. Protect yourself against your ISP's 6 strikes rule, or whatever other rule, depending on which country you are. Bypass internet filtering and blocked websites. I know being able to watch shows that I get here from their original website is a lot better experience than having to suffer the weight of having to get the show to show up as a rerun, especially if I miss it and my PVR fails. Bypass geographical restrictions for internet content and online video with worldwide servers in the US, UK, Asia, and more. ProXPN software works for Windows and Macs, offers advanced controls, allowing you to select the programs and ports you want to use anonymously, routing them anonymously through ProXPN servers. ProXPN also works with your iOS and Android device, allowing you to use your data plan and public corporate Wi-Fi with complete and total privacy on the go, no apps required. Features 24/7 customer report, and all you have to do is go to proxpn.com/podcast for more information to sign up. And don't forget about my show. So when you sign up, use the coupon code, all in caps, TQAWEE. TQA watchers and listeners get a free 30-day risk-free trial just for signing up. Remember, visit proxpn.com/podcast and sign up with the coupon code, all in caps, TQAWEE, all in caps. That's all you need to do. ProXPN premium accounts are normally $9.95 a month or $74.95 a for the entire year. We've got a special offer for you. Just for using that code, you'll receive 20% off the entire lifetime of your account. So if you like paying per month, instead of paying almost $10, you'll pay almost $8. If you pay per year, it'll be like you're paying $5 instead of paying their $6.25. That's just for using our promo code. Today's topic is about the process of logging in, something everybody knows how to do. Very few lucky people, I'll say, actually know what's going on. I am a programmer. I've been dealing with this particular issue for the last 3 months, and I'm kind of getting tired, but it's coming out to a good thing. Basically, I am coding this for my own podcast website so that you can all participate in polls and forums and actually comment on each of the episodes without being necessarily tied to your Facebook account or anything like that. Basically, allow you to stay a little bit more anonymous by not having to link your accounts together, which is something that's kind of dangerous from my point of view. So let's first start off with something simple. Your username. Why is it unique? Well, first of all, how do we determine it's unique? We'll get to the why is it unique after. So the reason that we're able to determine why your username that you want is chosen or not is by actually counting rows. Yeah, much like Excel. So going from top to bottom, we go through a database and we figure out, does somebody else have this username? Yes or no? 1 or 0. If it's 0, you get it. If it's 1 or greater, you don't. That's basically how it works. The password, oh my God. I'm pretty sure this was an afterthought in the internet, and by pretty sure I know it is. The password theoretically would be secure if everybody wasn't restricted by rules. So let's start off with something simple. So you got MSN or .com or live.com, hotmail.com, outlook.com, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. They allow for 16 characters max of up to 62 different characters per character in your password. So you would think that their password, and this is using password rules, would actually come out to 16 to the power of 62. And you would be right, but wrong at the same time. So the reason why you are right and wrong at the same time is every single character can potentially be one of 62 different characters. What's actually wrong is the fact that we know for a fact that you have at least one capital letter and one number, meaning it's actually 1 to the power of 10, 1 to the power of 26, plus 14 to the power of 62, which is actually the problem. The password is theoretically stronger, but actually weakened by the fact that the password rules exist. Now, how does this password rule become a problem? I'll get to that in a minute. How about something else? The combination of the username and password in order to actually validate your account is the same action we do to pull information from our own database for podcast episodes, articles, maybe files you want to download. If they're all stored in a database and you need 1 or 2 different points of information, one if you want to make a page of information, you may need 2 sets of information to actually figure out a very specific topic or a specific article. So that is why I believe it's kind of like an afterthought, and I'm actually looking at this all the time. And yeah, the process of logging in is no different than getting a unique article out of a database. It is the way that we treat the password and username that is different. Speaking of treating the password, we have something called a hashing algorithm. Basically a unidirectional encryption method that cannot be reversed. They are subject to rainbow tables. A rainbow table is actually a database of known results of known password combinations. Basically, everything from A, B, C, D, A blah, 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 on and on and on. You get the point. You've seen it all in movies. That is actually possible because hashing algorithms produce a predictable and always identical result. When inputted with the same information, the advent of the unique salt actually occurred. So what ends up happening in a database that doesn't use salting is if multiple users use the same password, and they will, it ends up producing the same result, meaning there's less work for the bad guys. We use a salt, but we prefer not to use a static salt, but a unique salt for each user to allow for the fact that some may use the same password, producing a different result, despite the fact you're using the same password as somebody else. I'll get into that one just a little after because we're going to go into a theoretical thing after. The way the salt is stored is another thing not told to the users that should be. Is it stored in a database in the same table? Is it stored in a database in a different table? Is it in a different database? At this point, nobody actually tells you even which hashing algorithm they use, but they can use MD5, SHA-1, 2, 128, 256. I personally going to be using on my website SHA-512 with the unique random salt for each user. Now, knowing all of that, why do usernames only show up once on a website? Why can only one user use them? Why do we salt randomly the passwords? And why is their combination and exact usage actually important on a website? Let's talk about what happens. So if a username exists and a password doesn't, and we presume that the salt is stored in a different table in the same database, we need to validate that the user exists. So the script actually checks, does that username exist in the database? Not the registration, the login. It checks the number of rows that match. Comes out to 1. So it goes into the other database and actually looks up the salt of the user. Combines the salt with the password inputted, in this case, the wrong password, and actually tries to compare that result with the result in the database. The fact they don't match means that the number of rows matching the username and that password combination is 0. Therefore, you can't log in. The password is wrong. In the case that the username doesn't exist, and the code, obviously, for the password would never be good, it would check for the username, see it doesn't exist. Instead of actually saying that username doesn't exist, we typically say that username and password combination is wrong, exactly like previously. Therefore, you can't log in. We don't say that that username is not taken, because that means that we just made it easier for the bad guy to figure out what's going on. Now, the reason why the username needs to be unique is because of the possibility that people use the same password. Given rules, people may be inclined to produce similar, if not identical, passwords. Therefore, if we didn't account for the fact that we had a maximum of 1 person per username, which means it's possible the person doesn't account for the fact that it would be possible now to have one of 2 different accounts and maybe should be asking for a third point of reference. If the person, regardless of whichever, were to enter the password, regardless of unique salt, it would produce the correct password result, allowing the person to log in. Whether the person allowed ascending or descending, limited to 1 or whatever inside that actual database, means that 1 person would be in their account, 1 person would be in the wrong account. This is why you have a unique username. It's also the reason why we use a unique salt for our passwords. Therefore, nobody knows who has which password in there. People that actually administrate websites that use unique salts and hashing algorithms don't know any better than a hacker what your password is. All they have is the resulting hash. This is just a peek into something that is more than a complex relationship in the login attempt and validation of the account ownership. If you're interested in any specificality in there about hashing, about the origin of the username password being applied to the internet or anything, just email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. go on the website, tqaweekly.com, and ask for it or use it on the comments. Just post it in the comments down below if you're watching on the website. I want to know what part of that you want to learn. Do you want to learn how it's coded? Do you want to learn how the sessions are created? Do you want to actually know more about why or what the actual hashes are and what they look like? Just email me, use my website, or use the comments box down below if you're on the website. Next week, I'll be talking about how to prevent illicit scanning of your debit or credit cards that have NFC chips. Remember to stay safe and online, and have a great day. Thank you for listening to TQA Weekly. Show your support by liking this episode, subscribe to get our latest episodes as they come out, and share with friends and family who may benefit from such a show as this. You may send us your questions, comments, suggestions, and or stories to ask at tqaweekly.com. For our show notes, links to our Android application, alternate means of subscribing to our show, and information on joining our weekly newsletter, head over to tqaweekly.com. Stay safe and online, and have a great day.